Good afternoon, everybody. Today we're going to talk about a topic that I think is interesting and relevant to pretty much everyone. We really see it as a revolution. I mean, we're all here in an e-commerce show because retail is changing because of the web. That's what e-commerce is all about. But the web and what's happening on the web is also changing how we do everything beyond just e-commerce. It's how we can listen to our customers. It's how we understand what consumers like, dislike. It's changing our marketing, our advertising. It's changing the whole way of how we operate, live, and understand our environment. And we call it the web data revolution. And what we're going to learn today is really how that revolution could be used as a tool for you in your business to make it working for you. So actually make the fact that that revolution is around us to serve you to get better results, be more competitive, win more business. So today, every question pretty much could be answered by web data. Okay, that was not the case before. Here's why. Let's see a short movie that kind of gives you an idea, and we'll talk about the details after that.
It's said that in the early days of Walmart, Sam Walton would monitor how stores were doing by counting the cars in the parking lot. Now, imagine if he could count the cars at every Walmart and cross-reference that data with local promotions. Or if he could capture the make, model, and age of every car to decide the best locations to add auto centers. 60 years after Sam opened his first store, the power of collecting web data is making these once unknowable questions remarkably knowable. It's making the boardrooms, product labs, and marketing departments of many top companies look more like intelligence agencies. This revolution is partly technical. Vast networks of proxy servers, purpose-built for large-scale public web data collection, have made it possible to collect, structure, and interpret data in wildly useful new ways. This is a change on the order of Salesforce transforming customer relationship management, or Slack replacing Office email. It's also philosophical. The art of leadership now depends less on being able to guess the right answers and more on formulating good questions. Get the questions right, and to an outside observer, your competitive advantage can look downright unfair.
Good. So public web data is really the solution that allows you to know everything. And knowing everything is confusing, and that's why the smarter businesses today need not only to tap into web data, but to know how to do it with asking the right questions. And I think the secret sauce is a combination of asking the right questions and using web data to get them and to form them into business processes so you could make real impactful decisions. So it's not only prices and understanding what your competitors are doing, but also what consumer reviews are being written. Emerging trends, what people are searching, what people are investing in advertising this week versus last week, understanding inventories of different products. And you know, if some products become out of stock or actually grow too much in stock, that has a business on you, that has an impact on your business. And understanding all that as a real-time feed that comes from the internet and taps into your system, that's what web data can deliver. It's that simple. We did a survey. That's a survey that was just advertised this month, this February. We tried to ask companies, okay, do you use web data to make decisions? And you could see that's a survey we did here in Europe as well as in the US. And what were the results? Everybody's using publicly available web data to make decisions, okay? 94% of people are using it on a daily basis. And you could see down here, I mean, there's more, we're not going to cover all the numbers, but 79% say that without access to web data, they would not be able to operate efficiency. So if you're not convinced from everything you've heard now, it seems that at least most people, the vast majority of the people and organizations out there are pretty, if you're not tapping to web data, if you're not using web data on an ongoing basis, you're probably not able to run your business efficiently, and that's a shame. I want to give you a quote that comes from McDonald's, not an e-commerce house, but a big retailer, right? McDonald's is one of our customers, and you could see here that they're actually very clearly saying that web data has become the most used source of data in businesses today across the board. Okay, even kind of a traditional brick and mortar type of business is relying a lot, and we're going to talk about the details of it soon, on web data, because they feel that if you really want to make sure that you have your product right to what the market is, where customers want, where customers see a relevant solution, that is a place where you need to tap into web data and make use of it in order to be competitive. One last proof point, okay? Last year, 97 zettabytes, that's, in the power of 21, up there in 21 zeros. That's the amount of data that was created on the internet. And if that's not enough, you compare last year with the forecast for 2025, that's going to double even more. So the amount of information that is out there is just growing and growing exponentially. And if you're not making good use of this, if you're not tapping into it, somebody else is making smarter decisions, smarter marketing spend decisions, smarter pricing decisions, smarter assortment decisions, and he's going to beat you to it. So you want to be making sure that you're the one who's tapping to this information that is out there. So who are we, and how can we help you tap into this web data revolution? Basically, Bright Data is the world's #1 web data platform, and we have a number of solutions that are helping organizations to retrieve, index, and structure any website data that is out there on the web and spread across HTML pages, and bring it in a structured way so you, within the organization, can be very efficient and automated in your data collection, in your data processes, in your pricing processes, in your marketing processes, whatever it is that you're running. We work with Fortune 500 companies. Just to give you an idea of the world's top 10 e-commerce websites, 7 are actually using us on a pretty heavy basis daily. But we work also with a lot of very small organizations. Actually, more than 15,000 customers across the world are using this web data infrastructure in order to be competitive. Not only that we have that, we also have something that we call the Bright Initiative. We believe that web data is a power that should not be only bound by organizations or businesses. And we support more than 600 organizations, universities, the United Nations, governments across the world, who often do not have the budgets to do web data collection and to use public web data for good. We do that on a pro bono basis. And we're very happy to provide it not only as a business, but also as a contribution to the community, a pro bono basis, as part of what we call the Bright Initiative. In terms of our size, we're 450 employees worldwide, really spread across, but the main headquarters in Israel and a main office in New York. And what's behind that technology that we're going to dive into in the coming minutes is more than 3,300 approved patent claims that allow us to really get that information, that public information, streamlined into your system. It's not as simple as it sounds. So let's dive into what's included on it. Everybody is thinking, well, it's that simple. I just go, I look at a website, I can go there, the information is there, I can access it with my browser, or I can write a small software that would just go and collect it. And if the volume is very small, it's really very little information that you're collecting, maybe you're right. But most organizations who want to try and do it on a mass scale are going to get into a lot of difficulties, a lot of challenges. One challenge is today, most of the websites are responsive. It means that you go to a website, depending on where you're coming from, you're going to get different content, which is great often. But if you're trying to understand the customer experience, what customers are seeing from different locations across the world, that's a real challenge. Another problem is that, unfortunately, there are some players in the industry that have not been collecting data in an ethical way or in a environmental friendly way, which means they were causing damage. Something that we always make sure that we monitor. We don't overfish. We don't over-collect that data in a way that harms the websites that we collect from. But that created also another challenge, that a lot of websites today put in blockages that don't allow you to collect public information automatically. So to overcome all that, the basic of all that is what we set up as the proxy infrastructure and tools that allow you to manage that web data collection through more than 80 million IPs across any country, any area, and make sure that you have that correct visibility and unblocked visibility into how websites operate across the world. Now, that's the fundamental infrastructure, but it's not enough, because often as you do collect websites, it's not just good to have the right proxy infrastructure. You also want to have a software that would automatically understand when you're running into any kind of technical challenges, and that's the web unlocker. It actually makes sure that when you collect data, that data is being served well into your infrastructure. But this is just the basic. The second layer is that today most organizations are saying we're either too small or too busy or don't have the resources to try and tap up to this infrastructure on our own. So we are now offering also the ability to have a fully hosted solution where you can basically define what it is, the information that you want collected, and that specific information is retrieved and fed into your cloud environment, into your Azure or into your AWS or whatever cloud environment that you're using on an ongoing basis. So you just need to define what it is you want to collect, on what frequency you want to collect it, and it's being sent into your infrastructure. You could have us set it for you, or you could use a very low-code solution to just define what it is you want to collect, and that's being served to you on your infrastructure. Finally, we understood as we got more and more into this market that a lot of the public web data is something that a lot of people are interested in exactly the same data. So it's not efficient, it's not cost effective for everyone to be recollecting the same data again and again. And today that data could be actually retrieved or consumed as a pre-ready data set. So basically the web data revolution is available for you either just by using your own bots and our infrastructure, our software, or our cloud environment, or just really getting just the data out of it. Now finally at the very top, there's Bright Insights. So once you collect more and more e-commerce data, there's more information, more insights that you can get into, which I'll be coming up to in the next slide. So how it works, okay? Think of a website. What you could see here is, a robot or a code that can manage 10,000 or whatever number of robots going into different websites that look like that. They look like HTMLs, and that solution would really take that data, collect it, parse it, build it into text, and at the end of the process serve you at the other end with a table that you can put into your processes, a CSV file, an Excel file, or something of this sort. So it's very, very easy for you to retrieve, understand that data. You don't need to touch all this code. We do that magic for you, but that's how it looks behind the scene. I mentioned the ability not just to collect web data, but also to get insights. We're very proud that just about 4 months back, we acquired a company called Market Beyond that's offering what we call now Bright Insights. It's the ability for you not just to retrieve information which is on the web pages and is available to everyone, but actually interpret that in a way that would give you a good understanding of how many units are being sold. So let's look at an example here. This is a Dyson vacuum cleaner. We could really understand not just what its price is, but also what were the changes in the prices over the day, what were the sales of that, and also any other product in the category, collect all the product data, understand my market share versus the competitor's market share, how many units were sold, what's the share of voice, I mean, how much people are talking about this product versus the competition product. So that's giving you many, many more insights than just what you get by collecting the data that is on the public domain. And it's embedded with additional algorithms that take into advantage all these unique signs that we get on the websites. So let's look at how people are using web data. And I'll get back to McDonald's because I think that's a company that everybody knows. Why would McDonald's need to use web data, right? It seems like the most traditional business of all. So one of the biggest things is that, you think that prices are pretty stable even in McDonald's, but the combos prices, like what you offer, special promotions, special combos, that's usually changing between McDonald's and some of its competitors. So they just want to understand what's on the menus of different competitors, how is that changing. They also want to understand what people are saying about them in social media. They like them, they write things about hamburgers being not healthy. They write more about it, they write less about it, what arguments are they using. They want to understand the customer sentiment. Are people complaining about some shops or some products? All that information is out there on the web. They collect it and they take actions based on it. Prices, of course, that's something that's not changing very often, but still it's something they monitor. They also want to make sure that when people are looking for some relevant keywords, not just burgers, anything that they want to be associated with, that they come up in the right location, that they optimize their Google's ad spends to maximize their search engine media. Opening hours, that's also something that's important to understand because sometimes because of seasons or whatever, some of your competition is opening earlier or closing earlier, and you want to make sure you make the right decisions with the most up-to-date information. All that could come as an ongoing flow to you from the web. Talking about allowing and believing in web data, we believe so strongly in web data that we are also fighting the industry fight to make sure that web data remains public. One of the things I wanted to share with you is that also we actually sued Meta because Meta is not allowing people to collect public web data, okay? And we actually got into a legal sue with them. We believe very strongly that as long as the data that you are collecting is public data, so we're not collecting anything which is behind the login, we're not collecting any data which is like private data, but it's a marketplace and there's prices there and there are reviews there and there's a lot of information about what people are advertising, and that information is public data, and we believe it should be collected. We believe so strongly that we actually taking the industry stand and using it in order to fight that claim by Meta. I could also say that we specifically have real uses where web data from meta domains is helping, and I'll give you a few examples. One example is that we are assisting. Part of the Bright Initiative, the Data for Good initiative that we're doing, is we're tapping in to youth in distress. And we're helping organizations that are trying to understand youth that are in distress, and they're writing different posts, public posts, where they're actually giving signs that they're about to do something really bad, like potentially commit suicide. So that tracking of that public information is really helping us and helping that organization reach out to those youth in distress and often saving their lives. We also have a lot of university research which is based on public information, which is on the meta domain, which we believe should remain public. So having access to web data is something that we don't only think is important for everyone to have and to the public and for the economy to be very competitive, we're also fighting for it in the courts. So let's go down to something which is probably closest to everyone here. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of Rakuten. I already mentioned that 7 of the 10 largest e-commerce websites in the world are using us for web data collection, and Rakuten is the 3rd largest. They're very, very big in Japan, also the Americas, a little bit less famous in Europe. These are the kind of things that they are doing with us, that the ways they are using web data in order to be very competitive. So really understanding market trends, understanding what their competitors, how they're pricing, what they are proposing, what they are promoting. What is the assortment? We know which specific product comes on top of the other. What is part of the assortment? What is being taken out of the assortment? Understanding user behavior patterns, like how, where people are spending more time, less time, what they're searching. Understanding how, that's part of the Bright Insights, like what people are buying more, what people are buying less this week versus last week. What campaigns are being run, what advertised, who is advertising on Amazon, who has just the basic listing, all these type of information. They are consuming that through web data collection, and they're doing that with our infrastructure. We could see here a quote coming from their director of product management, and he says it's all about bringing public web data into our systems. Okay, so if you're running an e-commerce business, you need to make sure that you tap in, you have the right stream of information coming into your system so you could make the right decisions. And then obviously there's a lot of very smart artificial intelligence and machine learning that you could apply for it as long as you have the right web data. All this magic doesn't work if you don't have the real collection of web data streaming into your system. So all the magic, all the AI can't work if you don't have that real data fed into the systems. And this is how the web data revolution and Bright Data is helping Rakuten and other companies do that. So I want to leave enough time for questions. I want to summarize what we've seen here today. Web data revolutions means that today really every business, if you're a one-man show who's trying to open up an e-shop, if you're trying to understand what is the pricing of your product in different countries, or if you're one of the top players, doesn't matter what size your business is, you need to tap in to a platform that would give you that web data. You can't really get that data just from your own PC simply because of the way the web is built. So if you're tapping into it, that's going to give you a competitive advantage. And it's not just about pricing. People think about, web data, it's how do I make sure my price is right? Price is just one element. If you really want to understand how to use the best campaigns, how to spend your marketing and advertising budgets right, if you want to understand what consumers like, what reviews are climbing in reviews, what products are climbing in reviews, what products are declining in reviews, what products are being added, what products are being removed. All this is coming from knowing what your competitors are doing and listening to the market. And also one last thing is, especially during COVID, we saw that the right listening to what's happening on the supply chain and the delivery helped companies not overstock and not run understock. And that's also information that you can tap in through with web data. So you don't have to do it all in one. You can start really by having, or tapping into one or two streams of web data and improve your models, the more you work, the more you invest, the more you get value out of this web data. So I want to thank you. That was my message, but I think we have still enough time for some questions. A few more minutes, yes?
So you mentioned leveraging emerging tech for customers. What did you think about when you mentioned in your last slide leveraging emerging technologies for customers? What did you have in mind?
So I'll repeat the question so everybody can listen. It was, how do you understand leverage when you're using emerging technologies? How do I use that? Well, today there's a lot of information that you can gain or you can understand about how a web page is operating. You can collect that information, you can scan that information, and that allows you to understand how that website is built, what technologies are being used there, understand if there's a change in the technologies that are used on that domain, and that is relevant for a lot of businesses sometimes. That's what I meant.